Welcome to The Right Stuff from Goldspot Pens, a podcast that raises you from pen noob to aficionado in less than 20 minutes. I'm your host, Tom Oddo. In this episode, I'll reveal May's top 5 pens, share tips about removing nibs, and talk about nib grinds. Last, I'll give away something on my desk. First, a quick disclaimer. These top 5 pens are based on sales, likes, comments, and customer reviews on Goldspot.com during May of 2023. This isn't my personal top 5 list or greatest of all time list. It's a list created by you, the fine people of the online pen community. At the number 5 spot, we have an exclusive collaboration between Goldspot Pens, Benu Pens, and pen YouTube influencer, Penboy Roy. The Benu Skull and Roses Gamma Green fountain pen embraces the theme of life and death with its decorative design. The Benu Skull and Roses pen reminds us that life is a force of change. While the grim reality is that we shall all meet the same fate, we can choose to blossom like the rose. Gamma Green represents the acceptance of fate and perseverance over life's obstacles. So you guys really like this pen, and one review we got from Hannah H really seals it, I think, for me. And Hannah H writes, I really love the green version of this pen. I feel like a Slytherin student when using it. I think it is still professional, but has the fun, over-the-top elegance that I like. It writes very smoothly. Only downside is that you cannot post the cap. But the design is so beautiful, it makes it worth it. This Goldspot exclusive design of Skull and Roses is a collaboration that we launched on May 2nd with a run size of 100 pens. It has a number 5 size stainless steel nib made by Schmidt, available in extra fine, fine, medium, or broad sizes. It fills by an international ink cartridge or converter, of which both are included to start with. And while the pen does not have a clip, the skulls that are on the cap band actually act as a roll stop, so that it prevents your pen from rolling off the desk. And Gamma Green, our 5th most popular pen of May, is still available on the Goldspot website for $163. Write a whale of a tale using the pen that surfaced at number 4 on this month's list. The Opus 88 Mini Baby Beluga made a huge splash on May 16th and quickly sold out within about a day. But not to worry, pen pals, more Belugas are on their way and should arrive soon. Baby Beluga already has 3 5-star reviews, including this one from Kiana, who writes, I love it so much. It's so beautiful and quite the wet writer for an extra fine. The pen is not too small and fits well in my hand and isn't too light or hefty. Very happy with my purchase. It was a small happiness after going through a typhoon. So definitely, I hope everything's okay with you over there, and I hope that all that needed to happen was that you get a little bit of happiness with this Baby Beluga, but I hope you're safe there. The nautical themed design, illustrated by Tracy Marcioli, helps calm the mind and keep thoughts fluid. The pen's pocket-friendly size is convenient to carry wherever your journey may take you. The large ink capacity, which you could fill using an eyedropper, which we showed you on the YouTube channel before, and it fills with approximately 1.5 milliliters, means that you won't have to pause your writing to refill as often. And on top of that, the shutoff valve that's actuated using the blind cap here will prevent this pen from leaking on an airplane or when you're traveling from high elevations to low elevations or writing in the direct sunlight where heat may get a chance to warm up the air inside of the pen, thus pushing the ink out. But the shutoff valve will prevent that. It'll block the ink from flooding out the tip of your fountain pen. The reliable number 5 size Jowo stainless steel nib writes with a dependable quality in extra fine, fine, medium, broad, or 1.4 millimeter stub. And you can endlessly entertain yourself by watching ink slosh around the translucent barrel, which I don't have any ink in here, but if I did, it would be moving around and you could see it through this translucent blue barrel. And each Opus 88 mini fountain pen includes an eyedropper, so you could fill it, and a spare O-ring in the gift box with instructions on how to fill the pen. Now, Baby Beluga, although it's out of stock right now, will be coming back soon for $79 each pen. So for our pen tip of the week, we have Kathy who asks, how can we know whether or not a nib can be removed like the TWSBI Eco or Kaweco Sport? I'd hate to try and break the nib/feed like I did with my first Lamy AL when I actually put it back in incorrectly and bricked the pen. Okay, so first of all, Kathy, I've been there before. I went to pull off a nib on an AL Star and the feed accidentally came out with it and then got stuck in the section. So I'm right there with you. It's a little nerve-wracking, especially you don't know if the nib comes out or how it comes out. First place I check is go and look at the user manual. So if you kept the box, which I know some people may not, but if you kept the box and it comes with the user manual, you might be able to get some information about whether or not the nib comes out, how the pen is disassembled. TWSBIs would have this information in there. Some other pens do also give this information pretty freely, so you'd be able to find it within the box that you purchased the pen in. Then there's also supplemental images on our website. So Josh takes a whole bunch of pictures of every pen that we have in stock. So for example, like the baby Beluga, you would see a picture of the pen without the cap. You'd see a cap posted. Then you would see what he calls a kit shot, which would then disassemble most of the parts of the pen, if not everything. Then you would see the Opus 88 Mini has a removable nib section that you unscrew. You would be able to see this part on the kit shot, and you would then know, okay, I have to just unscrew it. So let's say you don't have the user manual, you don't see the supplemental images on our website. You could search our YouTube channel for videos on disassembling pens, and also you could use YouTube as a resource, particularly SBRE Brown, who has a series of pens called Disassembly Line Videos, where he will take apart a variety of different pens from different manufacturers. So you could see Sailor pens being taken apart. You could see a bunch of different ones like TWSBIs and things like that. So you could see step by step how somebody could be able to take apart that pen and whether the nib unscrews or pulls out. Now if it's a Bach or Jowo nib, like this is a Jowo nib here, which a lot of pens are made with Jowo nibs these days, they could either be unscrewed out usually, or they could also be pulled out. They're friction fit inside that nib unit section. So you could either unscrew the nib unit out of the grip section, or you could pull the nib and feed out of the nib unit. If you need to take to Google then after that to find some more information, you could search how to remove the nib off of a such and such your name fountain pen. Or you could also ask us, email us directly, leave us a comment, whatnot, but usually email or phone calls are the most direct way to get in touch with us. Or you could also ask the folks of the Reddit fountain pen group, the subreddit fountain pens, and if we don't know, they would probably know, especially if it's like an older type of pen that we're not sure about, that we don't carry. That might be a better place to look for your resources. Following up on last month's #1 pen, what comes after April showers? You got it, May flowers. At the 3 spot, we have our latest Retro 51 limited edition Tornado Rollerball pen. For this exclusive release, we partnered up with Retro 51 collector and graphic designer Tracy Marcioli. Tracy's got 2 pens on this month's list to design the wraparound illustration on this spring-themed pen. So Ross M has some flattering feedback for Tracy. Ross writes, Tracy Marcioli has designed some of the most aesthetically pleasing pens from Retro 51. Autumn leaves, April showers, and now May flowers. Gorgeous writing instruments, coffee and tea are fun designs. This designer is a master. The May flowers wraparound illustration features blue and violet flowers that look as though they are sketched on the barrel and outlined in gold. Polished brass accents and a flower drawing on the top disc complete this lovely spring pen. Each pen is individually numbered on the top ring and packaged in a matching commemorative tube. Now, just like April showers, May flowers is limited to 500 pens made worldwide. It is also included in a matching tube with Tracy's artwork, and they are still available for $59. And you could find a matching Rickshaw solo pen sleeve available for $21 separately. Now, the question of the week comes from what I would probably say Rob Bryden, if RB Bryden, who writes, what are some of the most interesting grinds of nibs you've seen manufacturers give as options on their pens? Now, if you're unfamiliar with specialty grinds, there are just the standard nib line, which I refer to in, let's say, the Opus and the Benu, which is just a standard extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and stub. That's standard. Usually you'd see that on most factory-made nibs. Grinds add a little bit more line variation than monoline type nibs. Granted, maybe differently than a stub would be. Now, most specialty nib grinds you would get from a nibmeister, who is a particularly specialized person who works on fountain pen nibs, tunes them, and also grinds them to specialty shapes. Now, there's very few manufacturers that will go through the effort of offering a wider range of nib sizes other than just the core range, because most people tend to go in that fine and medium range. When I say most people, I mean like most consumers will usually buy fine or medium. The other extra fine, broad, and stub tend to be less traveled by most. But there are some manufacturers that want to cater to the writing enthusiast, one of which we covered in our top 5 Nibs blog post that we wrote a couple weeks ago, which is Estabrook. So Estabrook partnered with several Nibmeisters to produce specialty nibs within their Estabrook line of fountain pens, which you have the Journaler, you have the Scribe nib, and the Needlepoint. And these are popular nibs that they do come with a slight upcharge over the standard line of nib, but they do offer something extra special. And you could see that on our other video where we do an Estabrook nib size comparison. You can see all of which I just mentioned here. You can see them writing and know the differences. Also, we did a specialty nib with Navalor, or Narwhal as it was called back then, on a Jonathan Brooks Primary Macchiato for the Nautilus pen that was exclusive to us. And we did an Architect nib, which is very similar then to, let's say, the Scribe nib from Estabrook. It basically gives you a thin downstroke and a wider horizontal line. Then you have Sailor, who has, as part of their standard line of nibs, they have what's called a zoom nib in addition to a music nib, which is basically like a stub. But the zoom nib actually allows you line variation, and if you write more vertically, it will be thinner, and then if you write more acutely to the paper, the line will be thicker. And also they have the Naginata Togi, which you would see in another video that we have on Sailor Specialty Nibs. So you'd be able to see the zoom and Naginata Togi in that video and see their line variations and whatnot. And you'd be able to tell the difference between both and see if that's something that you would like there too. And on top of that, then there's also SCRIBO, who has some really outstanding nibs in both the 14 karat Feel the Flex nib and 18 karat Feel the Writing nib, particularly the 14 karat Feel the Flex nib because it's one of the best modern writing flex nibs that are out there. Which leads us to our next pen on the list. Flexing its way into the runner-up spot of this month's list is the SCRIBO Feel Palissandro Ebonite Fountain Pen. For a moment, let's completely ignore the gorgeous, faceted, mottled rosewood ebonite of this Italian-made fountain pen and talk about just the nib. In her 5-star review, Carol C. writes, absolutely amazing ebonite with a juicy 14 karat flex nib and feed. Wonderful writer. So you know the phrase, they don't make them like they used to? Well, SCRIBO makes them like they used to. The they being Omas. When SCRIBO opened up shop in 2017, they built the company with folks from Omas who were laid off, using the original tooling and machinery that produced Omas nibs. In my opinion, the 14 karat gold Feel the Flex nib is one of the best in the world for writers looking for a vintage style flex nib writing experience in a modern fountain pen. The nibs are soft, yielding to gentle finger pressure. And that unique writing experience is what people were looking for when they shopped for the SCRIBO Feel. That's a Goldspot exclusive, by the way. So these are ebonite fountain pens, which is really rare because you don't see ebonite in a faceted model before. Usually you could see ebonite and you would see rounded pens, but it took a lot of effort. We were working with SCRIBO for better part of a year to produce these pens, and they had to perfect that planing technique of being able to make these pens into a faceted model like the Feel. So the whole entire pen's faceted all the way through to the grip section and just has a wonderful hold. Even though I can't post the cap on the back, I'm okay with it because it is a really nice, well-balanced pen and feels decently in hand. And it has such a warm feel thanks to that ebonite. Get it? Feel? So we also introduced at the end of the month the Cenote model, which was a whole other project in itself because you have, instead of the Palissandro being just 2 colors that are swirling through this ebonite, the Cenote has got 4 different colors. We teased this in last week's podcast, and people are going absolutely crazy for being able to pick out their own pen, their own pattern of their pen that you could see the front and back images of, and then be able to pick out exactly the color pattern that you prefer. And also you have a wide variety of different nib sizes to choose from. So you have the 18 karat gold Feel the Writing nib, goes from extra, extra fine to triple broad. And then you have the 14 karat, which I mentioned, the Feel the Flex nib, which goes from extra fine, fine, and medium. So you have a wonderful array of writing options available to you, and all of them write with a beautiful wet writing ebonite feed. So for starting at $750, and there's some upcharge for the extra, extra fine, double broad, and triple broad, but starting at $7.50 for most other nib sizes, this could be an excellent addition to your collection and possibly the grail pen that you were looking for. And at number 1 on this month's top 5 list, I don't have the pen, but I'm sure that even if you're listening to this, we could describe it well enough for you. It is the Benu Talisman Sakura fountain pen. On May 16th, it was a whale of a day with the Opus 88 Baby Beluga drop as well as the restock of the Benu Talisman Sakura fountain pen. The second half of the 300-piece run came and went in less than a day, earning the Sakura the top spot in this month's list. So how do you know when a pen is super popular? A good sign is that I don't even have one to show you in this top 5 video. Plus, the Talisman Sakura earned 19 5-star reviews on our website, including this gem from Lena K. Lena writes, so pretty. Every time I write with it, I get distracted staring at the pretty shimmers and flowers. It writes very smoothly, juicy, and is comfortable to hold. Now, although the Sakura was a limited edition, it wasn't numbered. Since there are people who still missed out on the second batch and are signing up for the back in stock notifications, we are considering asking Benu to make another small run. So if you did miss out on the Sakura and are interested in ordering, please visit the Benu Talisman Sakura fountain pen link in the description below and sign up with your email address for an in-stock notification. That completes your top 5 pens for May 2023. To recap, we have the Benu Skull and Roses Gamma Green Fountain Pen, the Opus 88 Mini Baby Beluga Fountain Pen, the Retro 51 Tornado Mayflowers, the SCRIBO Feel Palissandro Fountain Pen, and the Benu Talisman Sakura Fountain Pen. Congrats to Rob Bryden for winning this week's giveaway for the Kaweco Sport Very Perry Fountain Pen. For this week's giveaway, I have a Moon Man N1 Pocket Fountain Pen up for grabs. So to enter, you must be subscribed to the Goldspot Pens channel, like this video, give it a good old thumbs up, and leave a comment with a question you'd like for me to answer in a future episode. I'll pick a question to answer in the next episode, and that will be our winner. Thank you for checking out this week's episode of the Right Stuff podcast by Goldspot Pens. Now, go out there, put your pen to paper, and write stuff. Until next time, stay inky, my friends. Take care.